Guam because, as you may know, many Guam schools are located within like the heart of their village. For example, when I was going to Bishop in middle school, and I would have to get dropped and picked up in the morning, it's really hard trying to navigate that pickup and drop off line when there's so many cars, junk on the side of the road, and it just gets one really dangerous for students who are maybe walking home trying to navigate the roads, but also it puts parents' cars at risk because those spaces are so tight because of the excess cars on the side that they're at risk of scratching or denting or damaging their vehicle.
So the solution that we have is for every 5 square miles in each village, a staff member will be added to this group to accommodate that area of village. And we also included in our, when we were amending a subsection B, the number of maintenance and employees authorized for each village shall be determined based on geographical size. Oh, the wrong one. We talked about if the results were in a fractional number, each number shall be rounded up to the nearest whole number to ensure adequate staffing. So, for an example, if Denito is 30 square miles, there should be 6 appointed members of the maintenance group. This group would not only focus on cleaning and maintaining recreational areas, such as parks and playgrounds, but also residential areas that are in need of upkeeping. We think the government should make this change to further enforce policies that relate to Guam's village, environment, and overall cleanliness, and to utilize excess funding to go towards upkeeping of Guam's cleanliness as well.
Yes, and it's also important to note that the current policy that pertains to Guam's maintenance primarily focuses on recreational areas, such as parks and playgrounds. But with this act, and by amending this act, we want to expand it to more residential areas. I'm sure you guys saw me ask my question earlier, but Guam's residential areas are cluttered with junk cars, a lot of hoarding, and with this act, we want to encourage mayor's offices to take action so that Guam's villages are more aesthetically pleasing, for lack of a better word. Okay, implementation and impact. So, like the healthcare subcommittee, the people responsible for implementing this policy would be the mayor's council. So the various mayor's offices of Guam would be the ones to implement and enforce this act through sufficient funding and community organization, of course. And how it would help students or the community. Living and staying in a clean community is, I think, essential in ensuring that Guam residents are able to feel safe and satisfied in their homes. And as I stated earlier, many schools that are located in the hearts of villages or in the middle of neighborhoods that are cluttered with a lot of junk cars and just overall hoarding would highly benefit and make it safer for students to travel throughout the village that their school is located in. And as Mr. Suba mentioned earlier, this would also have economic benefits because having a clean environment would incentivize tourists and other visitors to return because, you know, if you put it into their perspective, you're spending how much money to go visit this place that is advertised as like a tropical paradise, and you come and, you know, the roads are trashy, there's trash on the sides, there's junk everywhere, and it's why would they encourage other people to come visit our island when that's the state that it's in? So I think that by encouraging this act, we could represent our island better and show be able to show visitors and people who don't know much about us what Guam's beauty is truly about. Because Guam is truly a beautiful island, but it's up to us to keep it clean and allow its natural beauties to flourish. So that is the main goal that we are trying to achieve through this act.
And so this concludes our presentation. We'll open the floor up to questions if you guys have any.
So for the public safety one, I am in full support of that, but I just do have to say that as someone who attends, or I'm always at the community mayor's office, for example, I can tell you now that our mayor's offices, the staff especially, they work tirelessly to try and beautify our island, most especially their village. And I know for a fact that they are responsible for taking away those abandoned vehicles. But the thing is that funding is always an issue. And from my experiences, I saw that just to get one vehicle taken away, they have to go through a whole process. And DPW is the main issue with it as well. At the Toonie Mayor's office, when I was interning there during the summer, it took them almost about 6 months just to get 20 abandoned vehicles taken away, smashed up, disposed of. And that, then alone, is not cheap. If I'm not mistaken, it was $200 some per car just to smash it and transport it to, I believe it's a junkyard if I'm not mistaken. But that's something that we should, I love the bill, your guys' bill idea. And maybe if we could try and find a better solution to working with DPW to enforce more stricter way. But that's mainly like, we're basically telling them what to do, and that's not what we want to do. So yes, that's all I have to say, but I'm in full support of that, of your public safety bill.
Just to add what you say, I completely agree with what you're saying, and that was actually something that we were talking about and considering. So one big issue that we noticed that comes with a lot of these acts and passing these policies is budget, because obviously we want to beautify Guam, we want to take care of our island, but where are we going to get that money from, right? So there's actually a policy that says that excess money goes to GPA. So if we were to enact this policy, we would change that so that the excess revenue would go to these mayor's offices to upkeeping these villages. And I appreciate what you said about the workers of the mayor's office working constantly working, because trust me, I know that the people working at these mayor's offices are, we should really appreciate them more. But I think that by enacting this bill, I would hope that it would encourage more people to come help out at these mayor's offices, and hopefully open more jobs for those who are looking for more jobs. And of course, even these excess funds might not even be enough to suffice for the change that we want to make. But as I was saying, this is a group effort, this is an island-wide effort, which is why I think that this act should encourage the mayor's offices to collaborate together to achieve this goal. So thank you so much for your comment, I actually really appreciate it.
I just want to check if we still have time to answer more questions, so if we're good on time right now. 2 minutes. Okay, does anybody have any other questions?
I was just wondering how you're going to fund the excess of maintenance workers, because you're going to 2 to multiple for each village, so you're going to have 10s more workers. Where's that fund's going to come from to pay them?
I can help you with this.
Oh, would you like to lead?
Yeah, just because hopefully, if you didn't get a chance to meet me, my name is John Savares. I grew up in this. My mom is former Mayor Melissa Savares, so 20 years of my mom dealing with the issues between the legislature and the municipality. Trevin knows this. I've had this conversation. That's why I'm glad Trevin's in here, because I see him into money all the time. And I'll tell you guys are spot on the money. We need to better fund the municipalities. But here's the first thing, and I'll tell you, I came with this and I told Senator Borja that I want to see what you guys have. I'm going to sit back and watch, see what you guys have, and I'm so impressed with what you guys are writing. Because at the end of the day, these are things impactful that I talk about every single day. And wholeheartedly, the first thing we're going to do, you guys need to do with that bill to get the villages cleaned up, is reallocate the recycling revolving fund. The RRF, which goes to Guam EPA, but I'll tell you, Guam EPA doesn't come out and pick up any single piece of trash in that junk car. They don't come out and pick up a single, they don't go out there and take their money out of the money comes out of the municipalities and DPW to take that out. You automatically go and adjust the recycling revolving fund. What that does is it moves the money that's paid, how many of you drive here? How many of you pay your registration, right? That money that your registration is paid goes to EPA before it goes to the mayor's office and DPW. If you're looking for the money, You're looking on how you're gonna close the manning gap. That's where the extra money is. And that money will now go between DPW and the municipalities. And you allow the municipalities, you give them the resource. Because I'll tell you, my mom for 20 years had 2 more maintenance people than Pneumatic. And that's Dedino to Pneumatic, there's a disparity. But at the end of the day, we cannot take away from Pneumatic. We have to add to the places that we have more people, where we have more need. So when we look at how to recover that, that's why I'm so glad, and I had to stand up and just give you guys mad props for putting that together. Also the financial literacy. You want to talk about something that is completely needed, because when I graduated high school, when Vince about 10 years ago, when Senator Borja 10 years ago, when we graduated, right, Senator? 10 years? 10. So when we graduated, we didn't have this in school. And if I had this as something like that in school, I wouldn't have had to drag myself out of debt. I would have never got into college loans, or got into certain things, right? I would have used the resources that were given to me. I would have made investments when I was working when I was 15 years old. I would have been smarter with my money. And that's something that we gotta teach young people. And I actually take it even further, and I take that into elementary. Because at the elementary level, you're teaching them how to count, but you also have to teach them how to understand what that dollar means, what it means. But yeah, thank you guys, great job, great presentation.
Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and put it to a vote then. So for your first.
Okay, raise your hand if you vote the educational bill on finance literacy. Me. Woo! Keep the hands up, keep the hands up. Yes. All right, we got count. Next.
Okay, those in favor of passing or supporting the Flow Act, please raise your hand.
Please vote once. You voted once.
Okay, and those in favor of passing the Public Safety Act?
They're trying to expand it to mayor's offices.
Okay, period.
So financial literacy is the majority?
So financial literacy.
Next group.
Who's going next?
We don't have an ad extension. There should be outlets. There should be outlets. Yeah, but my charger doesn't actually work. Just in case my phone dies. I had to interrupt. Yeah.
I wouldn't say interrupt. It's not the right word. No, it's to provide comment. Interrupting is negative. You never have negative.
Well, because you were providing a positive.
No, I think that would be, you know what I mean. That's why I came back. It's fun.
Yeah, good to see the kids out here.
Oh yeah.
Attention. Let us not today in the we are Fifth Harmony. To begin, we'll be focusing on our main proposal, which is on education.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian.
I'm Lana.
My name is Tiana Joe.
I'm Anya.
I'm Tyler. My name is Isaiah J.
My name is Keisha Natsuki Dash. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arjillian.
My name is Shomla Lee.
My name is Naomi Vlogs.
Hi, my name is Anna.
I'm Josiah. Passing it back to
Hey. So for our education policy, we propose on implementing internships and apprenticeship programs as a part of service learning requirements. We're in a way for students to gain more work experiences in high school.
So, our problem is that many students across the island lack exposure to professional work environments necessary for effective post-secondary and workforce readiness. Although schools provide access to career-oriented programs, including those offered by Guam Community College, participation remains optional and does not ensure equitable access for all students. To address this gap, it is recommended that the government enact a policy requiring the completion of a structured internships or apprenticeships as part of graduation requirements. Mandating work-based learning would establish a standardized framework for career preparation, ensuring that all students acquire practical experience, develop essential employability skills, and are better equipped to transition into higher education or the workforce.
So we are proposing that we revise the 75-hour service learning requirement, and we plan to split it into two, so 35 hours and 35 hours. So one half would be still the service learning, however the other 37 hours would be split into mandatory work experience hours.
Students are not required to stay just one assignment program. Instead, they have the freedom to explore job opportunities that match their personal interests. If they feel a position isn't right fit, they're allowed to leave and transition into a different role. However, for any new position, students must go through a standard application and hiring process. Overall, the system helps students gain real-world experiences and better understanding job expectations and responsibilities.
Our proposal focuses on expanding opportunities for students by creating new programs and strategic partnerships with local businesses and organizations. For example, by partnering with financial institutions, we can provide students with the kinds of hands-on experience and education in financial literacy that is often missing from traditional curricula. Ultimately, this initiative ensures that students develop the essential life skills they need to succeed, such as budgeting, saving, and effectively managing their money.
And then lastly, for who is responsible. Responsibility for implementing such a requirement would be shared across multiple levels of government and education system. The primary oversight would fall to the Guam Department of Education, which would be responsible for developing curriculum standards, coordinating internship and apprenticeship programs, and ensuring compliance across public schools. Then, the Guam legislature would play a central role in enacting the policy into law and allocating necessary funding, while the Governor Luyan Guerrero and the executive branch would be responsible for approving, implementing, and enforcing the legislation. Additionally, institutions such as the Guam Community College would support program development and provide technical training pathways aligned with workforce needs. And then finally, private sector employees and community organizations would serve as essential partners by offering placement opportunities and mentorship, ensuring that the policy is both practical and sustainable. Moving on to the healthcare policy.
So the problem that we are addressing within the healthcare policy is that vaping and substance abuse among youth in Guam is a serious and growing issue. According to Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness, which was just posted last year, about 1 in 3 high school students vape, and 2 in 5 have been offered vaping or other substances.
Overall, Guam's vaping rate is 5 times higher than the mainland US. Looking at the data shown in the next slide, 13.5% of high school students and 9.9% of middle school students use smokeless tobacco, such as vapes. Even more concerning, over 65% of high school students have tried e-cigarettes, and about a quarter are current users, rates much higher than the US average. The major problem in this is access. Students aren't just getting vapes from stores for the weak enforcement, but also from social sources like friends, family members, and even adults who purchase from them. This directly impacts schools. Students are regularly exposed to substances on campus, which normalizes use and increases peer pressure. As a result, substance use leads to decreased focus, lower motivation, more absences in schools, and disruptions in the classroom. Overall, vaping is not just a health issue, it's a serious threat to student learning and success in Guam.
Some policy solutions that we came up with is if a student is caught using any kinds of vapes or drugs at school, they will receive a fine. The fine range will be from $300 to $700, depending on how many times the student has been caught. If a student cannot pay the fine for a valid reason, they can complete community services instead. The community service hours range from 30 to 50 hours based on the number of offenses. Students with repeated or serious offenses, examples of like highest fine or maximum service hours, must attend counseling. The counseling will help the students to stop their addiction and improve their health and behavior.
Okay, so implementation and impact. The Guam Department of Public Health and Social Services would work with the Guam Department of Education to enforce a policy where students caught vaping on school grounds must either pay a fine or complete community service. Schools would report incidents and healthcare professionals will provide short interventions that explain the risks of vaping and offer support for quitting. Community service could range from cleaning up around the villages or health-related activities like assisting with awareness campaigns or school awareness programs. The impact of this policy would not only discourage vaping through consequences, but also address it as a health issue. Students will be able to gain a better understanding of how vaping affects their bodies, which can reduce repeat behavior. This kind of early intervention helps prevent long-term addiction and related illnesses. Over time, we believe that this policy can lead to a significant decline in the use of vapes not only on school campuses, but out of school, and improve student health and reduce the strain on the healthcare system in Guam. Who is responsible? So, like I said, the Department of Guam Public Health and Social Services, along with the Department of Education and school staff and administration, would be responsible, and it will be executive because they will be enforcing and carrying out this policy.
Now, with public safety, want to tie it back to our theme of schools and individuals in high school. So one major issue that we saw was violence or acts of violence and the lack thereof certified professionals to separate or handle these violent actions, right? And crowd control, de-escalation.
Okay, so for our policy solution, we believe that to help improve safety in schools, there are a few important solutions that can be put in place. First, all teachers and school staff should receive proper training in violence prevention, de-escalation techniques, and basic crowd control. This training would help staff recognize warning signs and respond to conflicts in a safe and effective way before situations escalate. Second, schools should increase the number of trained staff, trained safety officers, or behavioral specialists on campus. These professionals are trained to handle high-risk situations and student behavior issues. Having them available allows teachers to stay focused on teaching while trained personnel manages serious disruptions. And finally, schools should implement programs that support students' emotional and social development. Programs focused on conflict resolution, social and emotional learning, and access to counseling services can help address the root causes of student violence and provide students with healthier ways to handle stress and conflict. So, overall, these solutions focus on prevention, proper training, and student support, which can help create a safer and more positive school environment for everyone.
The Guam Department of Education would oversee standardized training programs in violence prevention, de-escalation, and crowd control. Current educators would complete certification with a set time frame, and new hires would interrogate it into onboarding trainings would occur during professional development periods, with periodic recertification to maintain skills. Funding could come from education budgets, federal grants, or nonprofit partnerships. This policy would help teachers respond to student conflicts more consistently and safely, reducing to the frequency and certainty of violent incidents. It would create a safer, more structured learning environment, improve school climate, and lower institutional risk from untrained responses to violence. Alright guys, that's it. Yay! Do you guys have any questions?
Don't need a mic. For your education policy, do you believe 80 hours is enough for our student to actually get enough like real world experience?
I think it does, because at least if it, and those who believe that it doesn't, I still believe it gives a good introduction. And like we said in our presentation, if they don't like the work that they're doing, they can always switch to something else. However, they would still need to go through the whole process again of filling out the application and then going through the employer.
And then to add on to what she was saying, we also took into consideration that there's people who also take part of other extracurricular activities and sports. So we just wanted to have that set there just so they can have other things to work on for their graduation and whatever else they would like to do. Anything else?
Anyone else have any other questions?
Okay, so going back to kind of the same thing they were talking about, for example, right, students have the 75 hours to complete on top of like the school wanting them to be active in clubs and all of these things. What is the solution if like a student doesn't have direct access to like transportation to give them those work things? So like, for example, if you were to just be like, it can happen in school, then that might as well just be service learning. But if they have to go outside of school and actually have transportation to go somewhere, and that would be like required for them, would you guys be able to work something out if students don't have good transportation? Like, is that something that can happen?
So we did think about the transportation part, and some solutions we had for that would be like having school buses, because we know that Dodea does have like bus transportation for like outside activities, and then also like partnerships with the local transit systems to provide like free or even discounted rates for students. Yes, Donnie?
Okay, so amazing Bill, it's a great idea, but in perfect world. Let's just say this is what 45 hours you said for how much we work.
37.
37. How would you ensure like which workplace would hire a student for only 1 week or have to work for only two hours a day? Extra like as a bit like coming from the business side, as someone who like who's worked all like their entire years of high school, how would you pertain that to business owners hiring a student, and not even bring to the fact you have to train the student to learn how to work, and if they're going into F&B industry, they need to get a health certificate, and so instead of like, ooh, like how would you tackle that kind of problem?
That's a really good question.
So we did because we took in mind the people who already have jobs and can't or it's difficult for them to complete their service learning hours. So we split it so that people who have jobs already have their work learning hours, and then their service learning hours they will complete on their own time. We included the CTE course credits as a way to for the work learning hours because they're career technical education. I hope that answers your question.
Is this like a requirement for all the students who are working, or like what about the students who aren't working? Will they still have to like, if they don't have a job, will they still have to get a job for you or receive other hours?
The CTE credits would be the work learning hours.
So would you consider, so like, you know, I know there are going to be circumstances where people can't do the CTE or the work hours. What would be the like medium in how do you say it? Where if they can't do that, what would be the alternative? So, because you can't mandate them to take the bus, because sometimes people are not going to be feel safe to take the bus. And if you think about the number of seniors, or even just the number of students in the high schools, just the public school alone is like 23,000 students. So you imagine maybe even 50% of that, 10,000 or 11,000 are trying to, what would be the medium? So would you amend the proposal to say that in lieu of the CTE, for people who can't make it, what would be the alternative? Would you increase the number of service learning hours, or just stay stuck with what you proposed?
I think there are a couple of other alternatives besides in-person work. There's also remote work. That's actually what I was able to do for my work experience when I was in the CTE course. And I know other students as well were able to work within their own schools as well. Some were office aides, some worked with the nurse's office. So there are a lot of other opportunities too that students can take with.
So then your answer is saying, you're telling me then that you don't accept my proposal. Because what I'm asking is, if you can't do 37 hours, would you say if you can't do the 37 hours of CTE or whatever, then you should do maybe 45 or 50 hours to make up for that? Or 90 hours, since they're not equitable, unless you're saying the experience is equitable. Do you think the experience is equitable, the 37 and 37, or do you think there's greater value in one over the other?
I feel like in the work-based learning, you learn more than in the service learning hours. I'm not saying that the service learning hours, you don't learn anything, but the workforce, it's more, it applies more in your future. So what I'm saying is, if they can't pursue the workforce or the work area, they could just do the 75 hours of service learning hours.
So then if you think that there's greater value in that, would you accept the proposal to amend it to increase service, or to keep it at 37 and reduce the number of service learning hours, since that there's less value in service learning hours? Unless it's equitable. But if it's not, then I would, it's just a proposal, you don't have to decide now, but I'm just saying, something to think about. Because you're saying like they're equal, so you need, 37 here and 37 here. I would recommend amending it to reduce the number of service, if you're gonna keep that number at 37, that's all. Or if you can't do the 37 of CTE, then maybe increase the number of, and that's a proposal to amend what you're proposing. That's all. That's a little bit more technical, but I'm just saying that when you consider those factors, those are things that you can propose is, okay, maybe you can't do the work because of whatever limitations there are. So if you can't do the work, then you have to do more service learning hours. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Any more questions?
For the public safety side of things, do you believe that GDOE should be the one overseeing it over something like GPD?
I know DOE does have the school resource officers, and they do the training for themselves, for the teachers, whether it be safety training, right? But I think implemented with GPD would be a great step.
So GDOE doesn't technically own the SRO officers, that's GPD. So GPD is the one that pays the salaries, implements them into the system. They're just working in conjunction with GDOE.
Okay, give it up for group 5. Can you guys go through each of your bills and we're gonna go ahead and vote on it?
Remember, you can only vote once.
Yes, please only vote once. Don't keep raising your hand. Okay, so then.
Can I get a yay for education policy? Yay! Louder! Yay!
I'm gonna try to grill every group. I couldn't grill the first one.
Raise your hands for healthcare.
You still have to vote even if you.
Oh, yeah.
This is only a second.
Our healthcare policy was to give certain amount of fines, or if they can't pay the fines, is to give them service hours for if caught vaping or doing drugs at school for students. Can I see the hands who are voting for this? Yay! Oh.
So healthcare. Okay, thank you, group 5.
So who won? Healthcare?
Okay, we have group 3 going next.
Oh, it says that. So it was healthcare policy. Wow. That is this whole thing. Hey, at least it's always cool.
Hello, hello. Hello, my name is Taj Burrow, and I go to Notre Dame High School.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Kyla Gloria, and I go to Simon Sanchez High School.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cohen Diego. I'm a senior at John F. Kennedy High School.
Hello, my name is Dallas Coffin, and I'm a junior at Business and Technology Academy Charter School.
Yes!
My name is Brianna Franklin, and I'm a senior at Guam High School.
Yeah.
My name is Joanna Kim. I'm a senior at UNLV. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gianna again, and I'm a senior at Academy of Our Lady of Guam.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Cruz, and I'm a senior at George Washington High School.
Hi, I'm Jenny Mosket, and I'm a senior at TSM High School.
And my name is Kim Rios, and we are Alpha 3!
It's there. It's there.
Education will be starting off with the education bill. Our bill is called the Guam Roots Program, which is an act to add a new article to Chapter 28, Title 17, Guam Code annotated relative to the establishing of the Guam Roots Off-Island Scholarship program, which is requiring recipients to return to Guam for the service or repay scholarship funds with interest. So what is the problem? And what is the issue that we're trying to solve? So many locals on island aren't able to seek or find or further their education off island because of the tuition costs, as well as the limited limited courses that are being offered on Guam. And who is this affecting? Us, the students in this room who are wanting to further their education off island, especially in wanting to study specialized fields such as medicine or specialized engineering that are needed on Guam.
So for our policy solution, we are going to create a loan
loan program that allows students to travel abroad to receive higher education. If they return to the island and work within their corresponding field, their loan will be forgiven. And if they choose not to return, they must pay off their loan with interest capped at 10%. And what change should the government make? We want to set aside funds from industries such as healthcare, education, and law that lack certified personnel capable of providing for our island's community. Though we would be taking out of their funds, it would be reinvested into loans supporting members of this program. The funds would come back in the form of growing workforce and conventional loan payback.
Now we're on to implementation and impact. So who would implement this policy? So we have the Guam legislature who would be responsible for appropriating the funds, while the DOA, aka the Department of Administration, would be responsible for the distribution, since it would be reinvesting funds from specific fields. And how would it help students or the community? It helps students from Guam pursue education needed for specific job markets corresponding to our island's needs. Students can pursue expensive degrees, like the aforementioned medicine or specialized engineering, without the crushing weight of private bank loans. Furthermore, the concept of brain drain, which is a big topic of conversation that we had, which describes the talent deficit our island experiences, would be mitigated through the program's contract-based structure.
So the next bill we'll be introducing is in regards to healthcare. Okay, so the bill that we want to introduce is called the Sip to Save Sugar Tax Act. It is an addition of a new article to Chapter 10, Division 1, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated. This bill will implement mandatory taxation on non-alcoholic liquids with more than 2 grams of sugar per ounce to contribute funds to healthcare facilities, healthcare supplies, and healthcare staffing.
So the issue that we're trying to solve, so Guam is currently, we have rising rates of obesity and non-communicable diseases such as diabetes. So this Sugar Tax Act would encourage our population to not buy as much sugar because they would get taxed. And this would also contribute more funding towards public health care, our facilities, our staff, our supplies. And with this, healthcare staff will be able to work in sufficiently staffed and supplied healthcare facilities and provide better quality care to the patients of Guam.
So our realistic solution is to tax all sugary drinks that are above 2 grams of sugar per ounce. And these non-alcoholic drinks will include all variety of sodas, sweetened teas, juices, sweetened coffees, and more. These taxes will be used to fund all hospital facilities, equipment, supplies, staff, etc. And the tax would be 2 cents will be applied per ounce of non-alcoholic beverage. So for example, a 12 ounce of Coca-Cola contains 39 grams of sugar. Therefore, a taxation of 24 cents will be applied to a single can. As this act is legislative, we have chosen Senator Sabrina Montanani to sponsor our bill as she advocates for healthcare access, focuses on improving healthcare infrastructure, and advocates for a healthier lifestyle. Following a successful process of presenting the bill, the Department of Revenue and Taxation will provide the added tax funds to the Department of Public Health and Social Services to accomplish our mission of the bill. This has a huge impact on the community as students, children, and the youth will be encouraged to refrain from purchasing sugary non-alcoholic beverages, promoting healthy eating habits, and preventing onset diabetes, obesity, and other medical issues. Purchasing eligible sugary drinks, however, will increase funds for health care and quality care for our patients.
So this is our public safety bill. It's called the Guam Clean Slate Bill, an act to add a new Article 9 to Chapter 80, Title 9, Guam Code Annotated, relative to establishing a clean slate record-setting process for non-serious offenses following 10 years of good conduct. So what is the issue? So people in Guam with minor criminal records often struggle to get jobs, housing, and education, even after years of good behavior. These challenges can keep them stuck in poverty and make it harder to get a second chance in life. So what is our proposed solution? Allow individuals with non-serious offenses, misdemeanors, infractions to petition the court to seal their criminal records after 10 years of clean behavior. And this can be done multiple times. Once you seal your record, that's the last time you can seal. So let's say like you seal your record and you have no record. If you get another misdemeanor, you can petition for another seal.
So, who would implement the policy? So to successfully implement this policy, we would need to have a coordinated effort between the legislative branches, the judicial branch, and of course, like branches like the Guam Police Department. This is a legislative policy, so obviously we have to begin with passing the law through legislature. And then when the law is passed, we move on to the processes where when a person would submit a petition, it would go to the Superior Court of Guam where they would review it and they would either approve it or deny it. Same with the AG's office where they can object to petitions where if they see the case and they object to it, they can go to that. And even with the judiciary, they would create the procedures and access processes. And when you, same with the applying for a job when it comes to GPD and you get police clearance, this would apply to that where they would seal their arrest records and update you on the police clearance.
Now, this approach, these appeals are multifaceted if they go through, right? The benefits that affects the reformee, for lack of a better term, are really vast. And they just keep getting better and better for the person. They all connect with each other. For example, the reformed person gets enhanced career opportunities, not only in having a clean record for employers to look for, but also in the form of enhanced college admissions, which would act just like a job application, essentially where they look through your record and it's clean, you know. And with those benefits, it supports their rehabilitation, and a lot of personal growth can be seen from that, from getting a career, from getting accepted into a college, and yeah, it's a really beneficial process.
So right now, many states in the US are actually taking this initiative. In California, they have automatic sealing after 10 years. In Ohio, they have an expungement program for low-level offenses. And in Washington, they have online clean slate initiative for eligible individuals. All of this is to remove barriers to employment, education, and housing for rehabilitated individuals.
Thank you for your time, and we were Alpha 3! Yes, we will be accepting any questions from the education was the Guam Bridge program where it was you would go to school off island and come back. And you would get the loan where if you come back, you'll be forgiven. And then the healthcare was the sip to save sugar tax act where it would tax sugary beverages in order to fund healthcare initiatives. And then our last one would be the Clean Slate Act, where it would be after 10 years of a misdemeanor, you can file a petition where you can get your record expunged.
Questions? Okay, I agree on your Sugar Act to reduce obesity and diabetes. Well, let's say someone has a low sugar level, wouldn't it be unfair for them to have to pay for the higher taxes just to regulate their blood levels?
You're absolutely right. You do have a good point that people should not pay taxes just because they have a medical condition that they cannot control. However, this is completely controllable over if you go to the Department of Taxation or Revenue and Taxation, as they'll cover the taxes if you do have a valid medical condition.
And then also just to add on to that, it's just a small amount of taxes on the sugary drinks, on the prices put earlier on in the presentation, and all the, it's 2 cents per ounce, and the money that is gained from this will go directly towards healthcare initiatives like the funding for the facilities, any staffing, and supplies.
So for your education bill, just to inform everyone that Congressman James Moylan and his colleagues in the House of Representatives did just pass House Resolution 6472, which is known as the Territorial Student Access to Higher Education. So within this piece of legislation, it allows Guam, the CNMI, Saipan, American Samoa to have in-state tuition fees to attend universities or colleges off island without being charged double, maybe even triple the amount. So just to let everyone know, right, that did just pass the House of Representatives, which is now moving on, I believe, to the Senate and then hopefully onto the President's desk to be signed. So those of us here who are in high school, it will allow us to pay in-state tuition fees instead of out-of-state tuition fees.
Sorry, was there a question there? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry. No, I don't mean any disrespect by that. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for informing everyone in the room. Okay. So for the health, sip and save, how would you account for families, for lower class families who buy these drinks not because they're more affordable? So what would you, I guess, say to a family who says, I cannot afford to buy these drinks that are what's affordable that I bought so I could sustain my family?
Drink water, drink healthier juices.
Drink water, drink healthier juices.
It's not a matter of that healthier drinks are more expensive. So the reason for a lot of lower income families buying these the higher in sugar drinks is because of its lower price. It'd be to encourage them to not buy those and buy things like water. And though they do deserve to have a little treat now and then, we all think that the tax is worth it if it goes towards healthcare facilities, and in turn it goes back to the community in a way.
And even if the prices are a little higher, then that means you're also risking your health, and medical bills are not cheap. So I think it's also worth it as well.
For your sip to save that, it's a tax on all sugary drinks, just to clarify.
Over a certain percent.
Over a certain percent. So does that tax also account to dining restaurants if they order a sugary drink there, or also island girl, is it? If you take that out, does that also account for extra tax?
So the businesses that you mentioned, they'll cover it.
It'll apply to when they buy it wholesale.
So you're saying that the tax on the sugary drinks will be able to help fund healthcare facilities, healthcare supplies, and healthcare staffing. How do you plan on ensuring that is reported? Just ensuring that all of those funds are going towards that and that it's not going anywhere else.
That's through the Department of Revenue Tax. So they would ensure that the taxes go towards the Department of Public Health and Social Services, who would then in turn fund the healthcare facilities.
We're gonna debate this bill later.
We're debating.
I like it.
Huh?
Again, this is in reference to your Sip to Save Act. So we also have concerns that we fully understand the intentions of the bill, but we also feel like it would, for lack of a better word, demonize drinks that aren't inherently unhealthy. So things like orange juice has sugar, milk has sugar, and so with that,
So it's over a certain percent, so it will be like 2 grams of sugar per household.
Okay, let's take
So
that.
Celsius, you're good to drink that as much as you want.
Alright, let's
Wrap it up.
yeah, let's wrap up. We can save this one for a debate in a second.
I think they already know.
Are there any other questions I have to walk to? Let's go through it and vote, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
For the education one, parents for their education bill.
It is.
Give me some time.
It's exact same. Well, not exact.
So for the education one, it was the Guam roots to promote higher education.
This is the good bill.
And then for healthcare, it was the Sip to Save. And then, can we get the votes for Sip to Save, please?
Sip to Save.
Oh.
Okay, and then for the public safety, it was the Guam Clean Slate bill. Votes for this. Raise your hand high, please.
Pretty sure it's that one.
Okay, thank you for three.
You got a good question. Yeah. Which bill? The Guam roots. That's a good bill. Would they consider amending it to add airfare and room board? And also,
I think it would be a stipend. It should be a stipend. That's on the stipend model does.
Is there a cap? Because if it's like $6,000, will that be?
No, it's supposed to be capped out. It's basically push.
Gotta think.
I came back to the right part.
Why is this one so small?
So yes.
Do you guys need me to move? Do you guys need me to move?
Vanessa Nicholas, graduated from high school.
Yay!
Randall Brown from high school.
Yvonne Taplona.
Harry Elliott from BTAX.
From Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Jaylee Guevara, I'm from Academy. Good afternoon everyone, I'm Rihanna Dawn and I'm from Puno High School.
And I'm Riley Davis. I'm the student on council at Congress.
So to begin, we will start with the education policy. So as you know, I'll just start myself. We're facing the struggles of the double session. So basically, this is to stop that double session. And so this is okay. Oh, okay. So this is an act to add a new section 3224 of Article 1, Chapter 3, Division 2, Title 17, Guam Code annotated relative to mandatory time frame of school instructional hours. Basically, the problem here is students are not going to school in a situated time where it is suitable for adult workforce standards. So to fix this, schools will now be required to ensure that instructional time is not scheduled to begin earlier than 6 a.m. and shall not extend beyond 3 p.m. And this is to promote a structured balance between academic institutions, extracurricular activities, and personal time, support student health, well-being, improve academic performance, ensure student safety, provide consistency for families, and better prepare students to function within standard workforce schedules. Now, how are we going to implement this? Well, the Department of Education is hereby authorized to open campus no earlier than 6 a.m. and no later than 3 p.m. However, this only applies to instructional learning, as students will be allowed to be on campus after 3 p.m. for extracurriculars, including but not limited to club meetings, event planning and breakdown, and sports events and practices. That's the education policy. The high one.
Okay, moving on to public safety, we're going to be representing, me, Jada, and Ryan are going to be presenting the Francisco policy, which is an act to add new language to Chapter 54, Division 5, Title 5 of Guam Code annotated, and the issue that we're focusing on is to minimize construction zones that cause traffic.
Okay, so this policy is called the Francisco policy because it was actually named after our group member who gave us the idea. He was from FD, but he's not here with us today. But he gave us an idea of how at night there's like cones that might be in the road, and it might cause you to swerve off, and maybe you might fall off a cliff and get into an accident. It's just not true. But with this policy, like the point one, we are going to create / implement a law that can make construction sites at less risk for passerbys / drivers in the overall island of Guam.
Alright, and there might be wondering who's affected. So that question is kind of rhetorical because everyone along the island is going to be affected because we're all on the road.
And so the proposed solution would be that all road construction equipment shall be removed from the roadway immediately upon completion of the authorized work. No equipment shall be placed or stationed on any public roadway unless construction activities are commenced without undue delay. The placement of such equipment shall constitute a requirement to initiate active work forthwith in order to minimize obstruction to traffic, ensure public safety, and promote the efficient use of public rights of way. So basically, it's just saying that once the workers like put their equipment or their machines in the road, then that would mean that they would have to immediately start working so that they wouldn't have any delays and maybe more more causes for like traffic or any accidents. And so once they're done, they have to immediately remove it so it could take away that risk.
Okay, so now you might be wondering next, so what change should the government make? So, we believe that the government should take measures to prioritize and push unfinished construction to prevent any such accidents to take place, and to take safety procedures in any case that is needed. And again, the people affected, that's already the total. Everyone in our island will be affected, but most especially the construction workers, since they call us what this is.
Okay, moving on to implementation and impact. Thank you. So, who would be implementing the policy? Of course, we have the legislature as well as our executive, which is our governor, because of course they have the biggest power in order to move further on with the law. But most especially, we should also be considering the building companies, because of course they know the location. They're the ones that made the projects. They are the ones that will decide whether it's going to be finished or unfinished. So they know whether that it could be a dangerous risk to the community. So we should direct it towards them as well. How will it help students and community? For one, it will be a safer environment because, of course, it takes the risk down. It decreases the risk of passerbys or anyone in our island from getting into accidents, from accidentally not noticing the roads ahead of us. Better infrastructure overall, like just what one of our groups mentioned. Of course, we don't want. What they mentioned was how our island is our beautification of our island is not really the best state that it is right now, and I feel like I concur with the other group of how our island needs to be. Sorry, I'm just kind of nervous. I feel like our island needs to be more prioritized on making it more cleaner, more nicer. And I feel like this law can also help with that. And also the beautification of overall roads. I feel like, especially around my side of my village, which is Derido, there's just been so much damages around, broken traffic lights. There's a lot of, our road, for example, there's so many holes. You don't even see that many people even walking. It's just majority of cars and such. And I feel like comparison to other countries like Japan, they have people that want to walk out, but for us, we just feel like it's just too dangerous to even step outside because we have such a big risk of getting hurt. And I feel like our government or us in general have to take action in making our roads fixed so that we can be able to also step outside for once and feel safe. So, yeah, that's all I have to say for that.
And the next policy is the healthcare policy. Our healthcare policy is called the Kayla policy because our group member Kayla, who isn't here, also helped with that. It is an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 6, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to Section 6701 to inform consent required for mental health screening of students. This proposal seeks to amend 17 Guam Code Annotated, Section 6701 by reducing the parental notice period for student mental health screenings from 45 days to 7 days, enabling faster identification and intervention while maintaining informed consent. It also supports a structured referral system to connect students with appropriate behavioral health services when school-based support is insufficient.
So our issue that we're addressing is that the current code that we're discussing requires parental consent for at least, or forms to be provided for at least 45 days before any mental health or disability screening can occur. So this is intended to ensure the informed consent, but this mandatory waiting period can significantly delay identification and intervention for students in need of mental health service or disability accommodations. And this process also can be further prolonged when referrals must be initiated by a mental health professional, compounding delays beyond statutory minimum. So the affected population are specifically we're targeting, or not targeting, but discussing school-age learners that might be experiencing mental health challenges or are exhibiting signs of physical, developmental, or intellectual disabilities. So the delays in screening was can postpone the early identification, like I said, and academic success, and also parents who are affected are particularly willing to seek support for their children, but they may be willing to, they may be facing barriers like limited awareness, uncertainty about process, or delays by these statutory periods.
Under the current 45-day notice requirement for parental consent, students who exhibit mental health or behavioral challenges may experience significant delays in receiving timely screening and interventions. For example, before you can see your psychiatrist, you can experience severe anxiety and other behavior that can cause delay in learning for you and your peers. Children with suspected development or intellectual disabilities may miss critical early intervention opportunities, and that can delay the access to the necessary support they need. In more urgent cases like signs of depression or self-harm, the extended waiting period increases the risk of crisis escalation, for example, suicide.
So our policy solution, we're proposing to amend this by reducing the required notice for parental consent for student mental health screenings from 45 days to down to 7 days. This amendment allows to be more timely in identification and intervention for these students with mental health or behavioral challenges, while still maintaining the requirement for informed parental consent. Additionally, the proposal supports the development of a structured behavioral intervention and referral system within the Guam public schools, and ensures that students whose needs exceed school-based services are efficiently and promptly referred to appropriate behavioral professionals. So this is a legislative reform, and obviously, like I said, it's to reduce the mandatory parental notice from 45 days to 7 days, while still maintaining the required consent for a minor within the public system. And the affected population, of course, is not only the students that are seeking such additional supports or interventions, but it's also for the parents that are just trying to seek clarity for their own children and how for them to make their children to have a better life. So.
Implementation and impact. Who would implement this? The Guam Department of Education would implement a reform with support from public health agencies for referrals and treatment services. If amended, the population positively affected by changes from this code would include students needing timely mental health or disability evaluations, allowing for earlier identification and interventions. Parents and guardians would benefit from a more responsive process, while educators and mental health professionals could address student needs and provide support more efficiently. Thank you. Okay.
Could we just vote really quickly for group 1 on which bill that they propose to move forward with? So for their education bill, raise your hand.
one person. Okay. So for the public safety bill,
I got another thing. You gotta do it. This was fun. Oh yeah, I think that's
and then the last one is the healthcare policy. Thank you very much, Group 1. Let's give them a round of applause.
So, how was who here is the first time attending a policy summit? Raise up your hand. How was it? Like, it was really good? Okay, so the proposals that